What are the things you wish school had taught you about understanding yourself, life, relationships and health, so that each day you could develop to become the person you know you could be? Unlock your potential and live the life that you want.
Well, luckily for you, you don't need to go back to school because Mum and daughter, Jane and Liv, are coming to the rescue. We welcome you to the School Run podcast, where every day is a school day, and we open your world to the things that school didn't teach you. Are you ready to become the best version of you?
We are on our 100th episode of the School Run podcast. Now, hello, I am Liv, and I am here with my co-host and mum,
Jane James.
and we actually can't believe it. This is our 100th episode of the School Run podcast, which started on February 6th, 2023, and, you know, we're now nearly 2 years in. Like, can we actually believe it?
I think more so the episode released every single week for 100 weeks. We've sat and done an episode.
I'm telling you guys, sometimes it's been difficult, but we've always tried to give you an episode at Monday morning at 6 a.m. so that hopefully we can bring a little bit of smiles, a little bit of laughter, a little bit of wisdom into your life, even if it's just for half an hour to an hour.
And can I please ask that if you're listening, if you've heard this, if you've spotted on social media we've done 100 episodes, please will you share our episode with someone, give us a congratulations, comment on a post. It means a lot, and it helps us to grow. We just thought, as this is the 100th episode and it's also approaching New Year's Eve 2024, because as we record this will be coming out on the 30th of December. We're almost heading into a new year. We just do a little roundup of the last few months, a roundup of our highlights of the year, and
maybe some of our goals for 2025.
Let's hit this. So obviously, I think we mentioned to some of our listeners that you passed your driving test, and now we don't see Liv, so it's very hard to record an episode with someone who's not around very much because they're constantly bobbing around in their car.
Can I just say, and it's not like I'm going to parties. It's not like I'm going, just out to have fun. The only places that I go are to the gym, to college, and to Starbucks to revise. So really, I think I'm actually a good daughter.
She's a great daughter, but you still check my iPhone just to see if she's landed where she's supposed to be, just to see. I don't want to bother her with messages or whatever. She's a great little driver, very careful, and really enjoying having her freedom. So for any parent who's got a child approaching driving age, or they've just passed the test or about to go in for the test, I hear the anxiety. It's what if this, what if that? But if you listen to last week's episode, you'll know that really we just need to be in the present moment.
Exactly.
And right for now, I know confidently that she's a great driver.
Aww.
And she will navigate whatever the road throws at her, I'm sure.
Absolutely. So we wanted this episode to be very chill because we know that you guys love just a chill episode where we're talking about what's been going on in our life recently, our highlights from 2024. And I really love that because I feel, and I'm going to do this at Christmas, and seeing as this episode is coming out after Christmas, I can say this without my family knowing what I'm going to do. So for our Christmas this year, I want to create a PowerPoint, which is like a Spotify Wrapped, where it basically on Spotify tells you, your most listened to song and which artist you'll listen to the most. So I'm going to do a Maudsley Family Wrapped on Christmas. So it's going to be everything that's happened for our family in 2024, because when I think about this year and I think, oh my gosh, so much has happened this year, and you actually forget. And I think it'd be really lovely on Christmas for our family to remember all the amazing things that have happened this year. And maybe the not so amazing things as well. And maybe us two can do this for our listeners. And we encourage you guys to do it as well. Look over your year. Look at the highs, the lows, what you've learned. And yeah.
And that's how we do our sort of business planning and goal setting within Little Voices. We had a session last week actually where it was, well, before we finished for Christmas, where we sat, and the first part of it is reflection. Like, if you can't sort of pragmatically look at what's happened, why it's happened, when it happened, and track and reflect on the previous 12 months, how can you set a realistic forecast going forward? And I think that's the same in our personal lives. So that reflection piece is really important. So for you personally, Liv, I know that you've had 3 major surgeries, well, 2 major surgeries and 1 less major, but 3 surgeries in 12 months. This time last year, you hadn't even you'd never ever been under general anaesthetic.
I know.
What have you learnt? What's the year been like? And you're now back at netball and back fully fit.
I know. I think this year, if I could sum it up in a picture, it would be the metal from my leg would be the picture. Because this time last year, my first appointment with my surgeon was, my MRI scan was actually on Christmas Eve. And my first appointment was before that. So it has actually been exactly a year. My first surgery in January, my second surgery in June, my third surgery in October. It's been a little bit of a whoa. Like, I think I've learned quite a lot, and I did a post about this on my Instagram about this whole year of a journey. Learning how to walk again, being absolutely unable to do anything, like even shower. Like, it's weird because in the moment it's a huge thing, but now I think back on it and I don't actually remember like the feeling of it. Not being able to shower, not being able to walk to the toilet by yourself, like not even being like, oh, I want a water, like let me get up and get it. Like, you can't do that. And I was very much, I don't want to bother people. Like, I don't want to be like, Mom, I need this and Mom, I need that. And I felt like a little child all over again. Like, Mom, I need this, Mom, I need that. Like, help me. But I think the few things that I've learned from this year is, number one, it's important to ask for help when you need it. Like, we can't do everything on our own. Like look at, like, this is why school, I just think this is something that needs to change in schools, because we work so independently, and then it's kind of like a bad thing when we ask for help and we feel guilty about it. But if you look at the world, everyone is working in teams. Like, we all need to depend on each other's strengths and weaknesses. And my weakness was that I couldn't walk, and I needed, the people around me to help me, and accepting to myself, it's okay to ask for help. Like, that's what I need in this moment. And I would do the same for somebody else. So definitely learn that. Do not feel guilty for asking for help. It's actually a sign of strength, I think. Being vulnerable enough to be like, actually, do you know what? I can't do this by myself and I actually need your help. And you'll learn something also. My second thing, I think I always kind of knew I was a resilient person, but there has definitely been times this year where that have been really difficult, and I didn't really have another option. Like, when you don't have another option, you have to get through something. And I thought I could either get through this and be very miserable about it, or I can get through it and make the most of it. Which is, by the end of the year, a lot of people heard me say, I actually love having surgery. Like, it was so exciting because I thought I could go around and be like, it's the worst thing ever. Like, I've not been able to walk, and it's just, my whole life's been a disaster, and this has just been the worst year ever. When actually, when I look at it, there's like, I've got to experience this surgery. I stayed in a lovely hospital. I had an amazing surgeon. I didn't have to unload the dishwasher. It was just, overall, I think it was a really great thing and a great experience that I got to have. I'm trying to think of other things that I've learned, but when you look at it from now, it seems like it's all in the past. The one thing is, when I came back to my first game of netball after my third surgery, I actually got very full of emotion at the end. I actually kind of burst into tears at the side of the court. I only played half a game, and I didn't think I'd played very well, but my expectation of myself is very high. So, and one of the girls on our team and then my coach's mum came over to me, and they just reminded me, they were like, Liv, you've gone through so much this year, like 3 major surgeries, and you're back in netball now. Like, that is unbelievable what you've been able to do in that amount of time. And my thing for me, the biggest thing I've learned for myself is I tend to downplay things a lot, or I think it's not as big as it actually is because I just get through it, and I've always been like that. Like, nothing seems that big or that bad, and do you know what was really nice in that moment, to have those people say, do you know what, Liv, though? You've actually been through a hell of a lot this year, and you've got through it. And that was, in that moment, was very, very helpful for me. It made me realize that, do you know what? I actually have gone through something pretty big. And it's not just as small as I'd made it seem. Like, I just pass it off of, oh yeah, I've had 3 knee surgeries. And to me, that's kind of very minor now, when actually it's a pretty big thing. And I just thought, yeah. And it was very nice in that moment to hear those people say that.
Awesome year.
And
Awesome year. In terms of what you've done in terms of your college work, what's that journey been like? Because I know that it always takes you a long time, as I've known about you, to get started on something. So you think about something for a long time and perhaps fight the reality that you need to get started on some catch up. What's that process been like?
I think college has been very interesting this year. I think I had 8 weeks off in January and then another few weeks off in June. And besides, obviously, all recovering and all that sort of stuff, I think the biggest thing for me is always from the start of college, from the first September that I started, my favourite part of it was netball. And I think the struggle I had this year was, I obviously train for netball every day, and it's a lovely outlet for me after, 3 hours of lessons, to just have that netball training time, which is like my home. And I didn't have that. And I also wasn't able to run, go to the gym, do those things that usually I'm like, that's a release for me. So I think I found it very quite difficult. And I really just didn't want to carry on with college, and my attitude was just, I think what the way I would say it, and I don't know if you would describe it, was very unlike me to kind of be the way that I was, and very kind of upset and sad about college, and just like not wanting to be at college and all that sort of stuff. And I think it was quite difficult. However, I think with the help of you and the help of Miss Rachel Haslam, who the legend that she is, episode 6 director of Awesomeness, those 2 people definitely just made me think, do you know what, Liv? Like, this isn't like you. Like, whatever you do something, whether you're passionate about it or not, in anything in your life, you've always done it to the best of your ability. And that's why I love the episode that we did on values. That is one of my values, being an extremely hard worker and doing whatever I'm faced with to the best of my ability. So that, I feel like that kind of, my values kind of shone through there, and my belief in myself. And now, whoa, Mom can tell you I'm a completely different person.
Yeah, she is, but she had to navigate that herself. Like, you can't, as a mum, I couldn't say, you must do this.
Yeah.
You have to do this. I can only paint the picture of, how do you want to feel at this point? What do you want for yourself at this point? And also, there's some things to be said that college, everyone has to go on a certain journey to a certain point. Like, the law says in the UK that children have to be in education until 18, or some form of work with education. And so what are your options here? It's that kind of thing. Well, accept what is, what's available to you to move forward. Like, but you've got to choose, because you can't, I don't think as a parent, you can just rubber stamp and say, no, this is the way. it's creating a few options. But I'm very proud of you, Liv, because you've decided what your path's going to be, and you've just gone for it.
I think I'm very grateful to you, because I think if I had any other mum, they would have come at that from a very different angle, of very much like, you have to do this, like this is your only option, which is something that you never do. And you allow me to like work that out for myself, which is so much more helpful, because when you kind of work it out for yourself, you're more driven to go through with it.
Well, not to labour the point too much, but I'm not always going to be here. So your mum and dad are not always going to be there to tell you what to do or put you on the right path. And you've got to navigate. I've got to give you the skills for you to be able to navigate life. You've got to give someone the wings and then allow them to fly. And then you can navigate anything, and you can help your children in the future do that. The year's been very interesting. Do you want to do...
I think top 3 moments of the
top
year.
3 moments. I'm going to do top 3 work moments, top 3 personal moments.
Oh my gosh, that's a bit more.
Is it?
Right, go on then.
Top 3 moments. God, it's really hard to put them into 3.
Well, I've got some.
I have you. Well, I'll go first because you've been chatting for ages. Top 3 moments. Seeing the growth of the Little Voices brand. So we've done a refresh, rebrand, which is on its way out as we speak, but it'll really kick in February 2025. It's been huge because I've been living with it for a couple of years and navigating it, and now it's all kind of come out into the open, and to, you know, the whole of our franchise family is completely on board and really supportive and loving it, and also being really patient and trusting me and trusting the brand that we will roll this out in the right way. So I think that's been a definite highlight. Number 2, some key things that have happened within the business in terms of one of our franchisees hired a cinema and filmed all the children. I mean, a huge undertaking. And then they showed the final film in a cinema premiere, red carpet experience, big screen experience situation. And that was just incredible to see the children watching themselves on the big screen, and for parents to see what the power of a small group really was hugely powerful. How it all came together was just amazing. Definite highlight. I don't know. 3rd highlight is just the balance that I've on the whole created in terms of being able to switch off and, you know, just enjoy every second of the business, but not every second when I should be just doing personal stuff. So that's been really 3 highlights for me.
For business.
Personally, I have drastically reduced sugar. Definitely haven't had as many ice creams in 2024 as I did in 2023.
I doubt that the Lytham Ice Cream Festival.
Okay, that was quite a lot. But
can we just demonstrate this to everyone? Went to this ice cream festival, and how many ice creams did you have?
6.
And how many scoops did you have?
I don't know how many scoops, but I didn't have huge ones at every stage.
Honestly, I tell you, Mum loves ice cream. Like, that's like her thing. And she came out after I said, I'm never eating ice cream again.
I know, I think it has actually put me off. But I had made a conscious effort to reduce sugar. So generally, I've reduced a lot of sugar and really addressed sugar within my diet. And it's only getting better and better. So that's good.
Hi everyone, we hope you're enjoying this episode so far. We're just cutting in to say, if you're enjoying our podcast, please click the follow button on whichever platform you're listening on. And please leave us a review. We'd be so grateful for your support and feedback. Podcasts are free to listen to, but if you are loving our school run chats and debates, please consider buying us a virtual coffee. The link will be in the description of every podcast episode, and it will also be in the bio of our Instagram, which is @theschoolrun_official. And why not give it a follow while you're there, so you can see all the updates and get sneak peeks at upcoming episodes. Thank you so much and happy listening.
Secondly, the consistency at the gym has actually been off the Richter scale.
Yeah, I can agree with that one. You've been doing very well.
Because you haven't actually been coming with me because you've been laid up, but I've been going.
Yeah.
and lifting my weight. So it's a work in progress. And I've already spoken to one of our franchisees who's great in the gym. She does pull-ups, and I definitely want to be able to do my own pull-ups before I'm 50. So that is absolutely what is going to happen. So that's the second one. And third, from a personal perspective, I mean, I guess to have gone to 11 or 12 hospitals in the space of a year is fairly huge. Given the fact that I'm not a huge fan of hospitals, I don't know who is, but it fills me with a fair amount of unhelpful feelings that come across me. But yeah, with Ant's surgery and knowing that his dad was in having surgery, you in surgery, like it's been a lot.
Yeah.
And certainly in the latter part of this year, a lot of hospitals. I mean, on one day you were having your surgery and Ant needed to be in another hospital at the same time. So Grandma Ruth came over to look after you, for you to go down to surgery. I then went with Ant. Like it's been a lot.
A lot of petrol.
A lot of petrol and a lot of hospitals and a lot of talking with doctors and nurses and caregivers. But yeah, I can't say it's been a highlight, but it's been a success to move through that.
Okay, my 3, and luckily I've had time to think about these now. My first one, and I hope she's listening to this, was Auntie Hannah's wedding in May, because I just had the best time at that wedding. I've never been a bridesmaid before. It was my first time being a bridesmaid. I got to be a bridesmaid for my auntie and with Eleanor, and it was just, I just want to say, I actually loved it. It was really good. We all got dressed together. The hilariousness of Auntie Claire having to have her makeup done at 8:30 in the morning when the wedding was at 3:00 in the afternoon was just something else. I found that quite hilarious. And yeah, just the getting in the carriage and going to the church, and me and Eleanor singing and then listening to Mum sing, which always just is like, I mean, she sings like an angel, guys, come on. Which I just love. And then going to the after party, the food, the dancing, Auntie Claire's dancing, just the whole thing, sleeping over, the breakfast the next morning, the whole thing I just absolutely loved. And I think that's the first wedding I've been to that I can actually remember and that I've been a part in. So that was definitely one of my 2024 highlights. My second highlight was, of course, passing my driving test, which I was so happy about. I passed my theory on my birthday, came home to a car, which that's actually linked together, those two highlights. Getting my car, paying for it myself so that it's actually mine, and then passing my driving test. Thanks to Mum, thanks to Pi, my driving instructor, and Rachel, who all 3 of those people, and Ant, all those 4 people together who made that possible. And the thing that I noticed about the attitude that you go in with to a driving test, when I was sat there in the room, like there was another person as well, and there was me, and I could absolutely understand why people get so overwhelmed by going on a driving test. Like they come out in what looks like a police uniform, like bright high-vis jacket, and they take you to the car, and my guy was like, all right, but then the very, like, not moody, but obviously they have to be very stern at the side of you. They can't talk to you. And I can understand why people get so nervous and why that would then override their ability to drive, because they're probably an amazing driver. So thanks to Rachel Haslam and the disco that we had in the morning, I was able to go in there being like, I can do this. I'm going to pass. It's going to be great. And I did. I was so happy, wasn't I, for like a week? I was like, guys, here we are.
I have to say, though, the week before, the 10 days before, Pi and I were really like worried because you changed, like your demeanor, your personality, your confidence had gone through the floor. Like you were
Very unlike me.
very unlike you, and you were in a very, very, very different place. And we needed to pull Rachel in
I needed Rachel
to help you get through that.
Yeah. And I did, and I'm here, and it was just Yeah, it was just amazing. And my third one has to be probably getting back to the gym and running a netball, which is a big achievement for me after this year. But also, like, this is going to be my third week consistently going to the gym. And I'm really proud of myself for that, because even before my surgeries, I was very inconsistent at the gym, and it's something that I absolutely love. And I think it's a great episode that we would be able to do, which I actually asked my friends about. I was like, guys, what would you like us to do a podcast about? Because you are the young people that, we are trying to help. And they were like, body image, which is like a huge thing at school and a massive thing in young teenagers and people my age that people struggle with. So I really struggled with that, and I was very inconsistent in the gym, and I'm just very proud of myself now that I'm doing, what I love to do, moving my body, and kind of, I think finally, after year 7, which was how long ago? Was that like 2015? To now, I've finally, in these last few months of being in education, found a studying and health balance, and I'm very, very proud of myself.
And that's really good. And can you see, I think it's a really good thing for, even if you've just got 5 minutes today or tomorrow, to just sit and write and look through your diary, look through your social media over the last year, and just think and reflect on what you've achieved and what you've done.
Yeah.
And what's brought you joy, and therefore what you want more of next year. I think that's a really good starting point.
It is.
And it's helpful for you. In terms of the podcast, we have had an incredible amount of guests. I'm just going to churn some off, Liv, so you can remember back. So the first episode last year was obviously what's in store in 2024, but we went on to interview the founder of Temple Spa. We went on to talk to Jen in terms of mental health. We interviewed Kitty Harris. We talked to Lauren Stevens, who was based in Berlin. We talked to Heather Wright about intent and impact. We talked to Charlie Bezic. All of this, I can't believe that this all happened in this year. We talked to V for the very first time, and she's coming on soon. We've got her interview coming soon as a second one. We talked with my sister. We talked to the owner of the Royal Dyche pub. We talked with the sleep expert, Jill McGarry. We spoke with Sarah Fox, who talks about contracting. And she actually, Sarah's been the impetus for another episode just recently, hasn't she? We've talked to Sarah and Harren Handbags. We've talked with the lady about red flags and social change, Lise K. Bell. When we've spoke about finding happiness where you are and modelling that for our children. We've talked to Gemma Hussey from Teslon. We've talked with the Visibility Valvar Room lady, Lisa Newport. We went on to Katie's journey, one of our franchisees at Little Voices, as a mum and her journey with her 3 children. We talked with finding your challenger, truster and supporter with the guy that you found the first guest. Do you remember him? I can't even remember.
Jodie.
Oh, Jodie. Kate Trafford and Your Dream Destination. We talked with Joe Lockwood. I mean, literally, there's just been, when I run through the Brain Collective, we went on a little jolly to Harrogate and met the founders of the Brain Collective. We did some more with, we had a fabulous episode with Yvonne Filler when we met her in Liverpool, which was superb. Literally, I could go through and through and through. We met Zoe from Elevated Socials. A crazy amount of episodes.
I know. So many episodes. And guys, you're going to be getting even more in 2025 because we're not stopping.
Are we not stopping? You're not stopping me yet?
No, of course not. I think we're going to have to... I feel like one thing we've both realised this year is I can plan them, and I'm good at planning them, but I need to plan them more in advance so that we don't have to try and do 6 all at once in one day before Christmas.
Absolutely. So if Olivia can get a bit more on top of planning them and then planning when we're recording them, that will help.
That's the balance that I've maybe just not quite mastered yet. I've got the health and the studying balance. I've not yet added the podcast balance into that yet.
But that can come in 2025. It sure can. So an amazing year for the podcast, 12.5, nearly 13,000 listeners. We're just really privileged to be on this journey. Incredible sponsor that we've had this year, but we've got a new sponsor coming forward for next year. We're just in a really good in a really good place. with it.
And we're trying to interview Stephen Bartlett. If no one saw on our Instagram story, Stephen Bartlett said he wanted to come on 10 to 15 podcasts in January and February of 2025. So, of course, I put our name forward. And I also wrote him a very long email, which took me 2 hours to construct. And I've sent it to him. And I've decided that I'm going to send it every day until he responds. So I need to send it today. But someone said to me, they were like, you don't get anywhere without determination. I thought, exactly. So he's going to continue to get that email in his inbox until he replies.
How exciting. Well, thank you for joining us in 2024. This is the final episode of the year. It happens to be also our 100th episode. And as we head into 2025, your support, your care, your sharing, your little snippets of feedback would be really valued. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What are the things you wish school had taught you about understanding yourself, life, relationships, and health, so that each day you could develop to become the person you know you could be? Unlock your potential and live the life that you want.
Well, luckily for you, you don't need to go back to school because mum and daughter, Jane and Liv, are coming to the rescue. We welcome you to the School Run podcast, where every day is a school day, and we open your world to the things that school didn't teach you. Are you ready to become the best version of you?